Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham, right here on Talk Radio. We're talking to Peter Hitchens, Mail on Sunday columnist. Just to go back, Peter, to our original discussion about the Rod Liddle situation. Interesting that, I mean, you highlighted an awful lot of the individuals involved in the protest, but they sort of speak the same way, don't they? They don't talk about free speech. I listened to an interview that one of those guys did with Talk Radio last week over the weekend, and he said things like, well, you know, this is not an issue of free speech. It's an issue of breaking the rules, and he's upset that that Tim Luckhurst had, in fact, in some way, not followed the correct way of organising a dinner, and that they should have said that he was coming. But he also said something fascinating, where he went, you know, yes, you can say whatever you want, but you can't say things that are racist, or you can't say things that are transphobic. So he's basically making that judgment on something that Rod Liddle said. He couldn't name anything that Rod Liddle said that was in fact racist or transphobic.
No, well, but then on the other hand, these things are now matters of judgment of the person who hears them. If somebody hears what you say and they think that what you said is racist, then under the post-McPherson report rules, then it is so. And I wrote an article at the weekend about how people feel perfectly free to call me a fascist. Which is completely false and doesn't bear any relation to any opinion.
And frankly libelous, isn't it?
So, well, it's possibly, but who wants to pursue these things? I just would like people to realise how empty the word is. Yeah. But I saw recently walking around Oxford, people beginning to walk around Oxford with T-shirts. You know, there's this expression, no platform for racists. Yeah. Well, the T-shirts they were wearing had the words on them, a platform for fascists, and showed a picture of the guillotine standing on a scaffold. Yeah. And these people wearing this thing are people who, if you ask them about the death penalty for murder, they say, no, we can't have that. That's uncivilized. Yeah. But they're perfectly happy to make a public joke out of the idea of executing their political opponents. Oh, yeah. I don't think that the rising generation are that hostile to the idea, first of all, of imprisoning, and secondly, but ultimately, of eliminating the people who disagree with them. Obviously, it's not an issue now, but seeing the gradual change in the political weather in this country, I think it will be an issue within not a very long time of whether it will actually be legal to say some things, which is now, it's now dangerous to say them professionally. You can become unemployed, but you'll keep your liberty. But it will actually become illegal to say certain things, and people will be imprisoned for it. And I don't think that's by any means out of the question in the current and growing
and seemingly
total absence of opposition.
Yeah, apparently the University of Durham also told students if they wish to put posters or other messages in their windows at the university which were in effect offering to do harm either to Tim Luckhurst or to Rod Liddle, that would be all right. They would not force them to take them down.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. But someone is deciding. There is increasingly an ultimate authority who says this can be said, this cannot be said. Yeah. And also, certain types of people can say some things, and other types of people cannot say some things. And this is the basis of a lawless circumstance, which will, I think, exist not all that far down the road from now, where it will be possible to be prosecuted and quite possibly even imprisoned for what you say. And I don't think it's that far away. So many things which have happened over the past 20, 30 years would have seemed unimaginable before it happened. I warn people not to dismiss this as a fantasy. We are really in danger of a society in which it is. The whole idea that someone should be allowed to say something you profoundly disagree with is dying. Yeah. And that any idea which you disagree with can automatically be classified as some sort of hate crime whose effect is to damage other people. And that's the way it will be done. They'll say, well, we're not prosecuting you for what you said, we're prosecuting you because what you said has harmed somebody.
Has harmed someone, exactly right, which is entirely subjective and impossible really to prosecute in law anyway. Just one final thing. You also wrote about the rather laughable crackdown on middle-class drug taking, which I'm sure is a favourite subject of yours. We've seen it many times before. It's never worked before. Won't work this time.
Well, it never happens. It doesn't work because it doesn't happen. You're old enough to remember Ian Blair's declaration on this. I think Sajid Javid, when he was Home Secretary at one point, made the same thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you hear the word crackdown, you know that nothing will happen. It's just a thing which people say. And what the government is doing is it's guarding its conservative flank by pretending to be tough on this issue, while actually, by another form of inaction, de facto decriminalising drug taking on a very large scale. And eventually, I'm sure that in some future, quite possibly allegedly conservative governments will actually legalise some drugs because of the huge tax revenues. It's the so-called sin taxes, particularly tobacco and drink, have brought in enormous amounts of money to the exchequer. And the tobacco tax is of course, now not producing anything like so much. They're very much on the search for something else that will bring in this level of taxation. And they see it in drugs. And I think there's a very strong faction in British conservatism now, which says, okay, let it go. Let's legalise these things and tax them and make lots of money out of them. And what do we care anyway? Because you have supposedly libertarian organisations like the one I call the Adam Spliff Institute, who are perfectly happy with large-scale drug taking anyway, as far as I can see.
Yeah. Oh, I think many organisations are, and I suppose that's wherein lies the rub. But listen, we're out of time, unfortunately, Peter. Thank you very much indeed. Peter Hitchens, Man on Sunday columnist, talking to us there about a great many things, including, of course, the erosion of free speech, the erosion of our liberty, the erosion of all of the things that we used to hold quite dear in this country. And there's no question that the erosion is going on, is it not?